I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. I think I may be live. Hello there. If you're watching this, I think I'm live. Yes, just double check that I am live. If you're watching this live, apparently I've got one viewer. Hello to my one viewer. Yes, I'm wearing my Chewbacca mask, by the way. I picked it up the other day, and I thought, yes, it seems like I am live. I picked this up the other day from a shop, and I thought, because I'm talking about Star Wars in this live stream, I'd wear it for this live stream. So here we are, got my Star Wars t-shirt on, and so yeah, I'm talking about Star Wars today. I'm talking about... Well, I'm going to take the mask off, actually. That might be the best idea at the moment, to take the mask off so you guys can hear me a bit better. Just double check the audio is working on YouTube. Again, I should say apologies if I'm a bit muffly in my voice today and I don't sound as well as I usually do. Yes, oh, somebody's watching. Hey, hello to one person who's watching again. But yes, sorry if I don't sound as that great today, and I'm a bit muffly in my words. I do have hay fever, and the hay fever is quite bad where I am today, so I do apologise about that if I muffle up my words and I don't sound as well as I usually do. I'm going to try and get through the live stream as best as possible. Now, I was actually doing this live stream yesterday, and halfway through the live stream, my internet's cut off. So hopefully that will happen. Hopefully that won't happen today, but it happened yesterday, and hopefully it doesn't happen today. But that's why I had to cut the live stream short yesterday. But I'm doing the exact same live stream today. I'm talking about the exact same topic. Did the Star Wars sequel trilogy need a plan? I think you might be surprised my answer. And at the same time, though, also today it's my 8th live stream. So if you don't know what these are, by the way, these are live streams that I do like once or twice a week, where I'll talk about something that's current in movie and TV culture and everything, or just some movie and TV news. So maybe if a trailer's being out or something, I've heard some movies like Spider-Man No Way Home trailer's going to be out later this week, so maybe I'll talk about that later this week. I'll just do my curtain here so you guys can see me a bit better. That's not really working. This is brilliant streaming, isn't it? Okay, no, but I hope you guys can see me a bit better there, and the light saturation, whatever it is, the lightness is better there. I don't know what I'm going on about, but yes, that's what I'm talking about today. Did the Star Wars sequel trilogy need an overall plan? And these are my live streams. So I'm on my 8th live stream today, which like I've already said already. And about once or twice a week, I'm going to talk about like movie news and TV news and stuff, or just something going on like movie and TV culture at the moment. And so I might like next week I might talk about a trailer. Or my next live stream I might talk about, I don't know, some movie that's coming out, or movie that has been announced or something. Like, I might talk a bit about Indiana Jones 5 in the near distant future, which apparently is shooting at the moment. I might talk about the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, which is apparently going to come out very, very soon. Fingers crossed. I can't wait to see the trailer for that film. I can't wait to see Spider-Man No Way Home. That's my number one anticipated movie this year, because I've loved, the first few Tom Holland Spider-Man films, and I'm actually going back and rewatching all the Spider-Man films. That includes, Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, the Amazing Spider-Man films, and the MCU Spider-Man films, all before No Way Home, to get the anticipation building. But yes, that's what I'll be talking about in these live streams. Just things that I want to talk about that are kind of being like that kind of, I don't know what's the word, current. That's what I'm going to say, current in movie and TV culture at the moment. So today I'm talking about, did the Star Wars sequel trilogy need an overall plan? Now the reason I'm talking about this today is because a couple of weeks back, actually, I'm a bit late on this, but a couple of weeks back, J.J. Abrams did a video did a interview with Collider video in which he said that the sequel trilogy did need a plan, and he actually, he made The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker, and the thing is, though, he said he thought that the sequel trilogy needed an overall plan. Personally, I don't think it did, and here's why. Well, my number one reason today is why I've got a few reasons actually. I'm about to say one reason in particular, but no, I've got a few reasons. My first reason that I don't think the Star Wars sequel trilogy actually needed an overall plan is that I don't think it would have changed much in terms of direction. Now, it would have changed quite a bit in terms of story, and maybe Rey's lineage would have been a bit better. Like, I personally was I loved the fact that Rey was from nowhere in The Last Jedi. I love that. I love that for so many reasons. Like, imagine kids growing up watching the sequel Star Wars trilogy and the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and obviously they get to The Last Jedi and they realise that Rey's from nowhere, but yet she's like one of the most powerful Jedis in the Star Wars universe. Just imagine kids watching that character and then getting to The Last Jedi thinking, oh my god, I can be like Rey. I'm from nowhere. Rey's from nowhere, and now she's the most powerful Jedi in the universe. But then The Rise of Skywalker goes back on that, and apparently Rey's Palpatine. not the best, and at the same time, though, bringing Palpatine back wasn't the best either. I will admit that. Although I might be in the minority here, and I'm fine with that, but I actually kind of like the Palpatine scenes in The Rise of Skywalker. I mean, I don't like how they bring him back, and I don't really like what they do with him, but at the same time, though, I kind of enjoy watching the Palpatine scenes in The Rise of Skywalker. But yeah, overall, it might have changed some story decisions, like Snoke might have still been alive past episode 8. But the thing is, in the long run, I don't think it actually changed. It wouldn't have changed much in terms of direction. Like, the thing is with the Star Wars sequel trilogy, it was done by two different directors. You know, J.J. Abrams did The Force Awakens, Rian Johnson did The Last Jedi, and then J.J. Abrams returned to do The Rise of Skywalker. That's why The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker have some certain energy, and that's why, you know, The Last Jedi, I really like The Last Jedi, by the way, but that's why The Last Jedi is more drawn out in terms of its filmmaking. And, you know, that's because it's done by two different directors. A lot of people were watching, you know, coming out of The Rise of Skywalker and saying, well, it would have been so much better if they had a plan for all these three Star Wars movies because the direction would feel more coherent and everything. I don't think the direction would have. The whole thing to do with the prequel trilogy feels more, you know, the Star Wars prequel trilogy feels more coherent in its direction is because all three Star Wars prequel films were directed by George Lucas. They were all done by the same director. If you look at the original trilogy, they were all done by three different directors. You know, George Lucas directed A New Hope. Then you go on to Empire Strikes Back, which I think is Irving Kershner. I might get his name wrong there, apologize if I am. And at the same time, though, Return of the Jedi is Richmond McQuarrie. They're all done by three different directors. And in my opinion, you can tell there's a difference of energy with all the original three Star Wars films. And then you get onto the prequels, and obviously the direction is quite dull, boring, and quite tedious, and a bit overstretched. And honestly, sometimes the direction and some of the actors isn't the best. Sometimes he's giving off quite stale performances, but you know, that's George Lucas for you. I'm a huge fan of George Lucas, by the way, but I think his direction on movies isn't the best. I just think he's got to look with what he's created. I think he's a very clever person because obviously he created Star Wars and he helped create Indiana Jones and he did a lot of other stuff as well. But the thing is, though, I don't think his direction of movies is particularly fantastic. But the thing is, though, the reason the Star Wars prequel trilogy feels so much more coherent in its direction isn't because it had a plan. It's because it was done by one director. You know, you could probably say the same. Like, imagine if J.J. Abrams, and he wouldn't have, but imagine if J.J. Abrams did all three Star Wars sequel films, maybe it would feel more coherent in its direction. But the fact is, it was done by two different directors, and that's what you're going to get with these Star Wars films. And so a lot of people who were saying, oh, well, if they had a plan for the Star Wars sequel trilogy, the direction would have been more coherent. No, I don't think it would have been. And I think that's one of the reasons why I don't think the Star Wars sequel trilogy needed an overall plan. Now, I should say here that I'm not saying that if the Star Wars sequel trilogy didn't have an overall plan, it wouldn't have benefited. I do think it would have benefited a little bit, but not loads. I just think there would have been more coherent story arcs that go on throughout the films, but I don't think it needed a solid overall plan. I think it might have needed a plan with certain characters, like maybe Rey, Finn, Poe, and maybe Kylo Ren, but I don't think, or maybe Snoke as well, but I don't think it needed an overall plan story-wise. I don't think that would have changed the direction of the film at all. Like I'm saying, I don't think the Star Wars sequel trilogy needed a plan, but maybe if it did have a plan, it would have benefited. But anyway, that's just point number one. And I should say here, which I haven't actually said already, the reason I've got The Force Awakens posted there, yeah, it's there for you guys. There for you guys is because, well, obviously, The Force Awakens is in the Star Wars sequel trilogy. There you go. So if you just wonder when The Force Awakens poster was there, I just thought it was nice to put on this live stream. But anyway, let's move on to point number 2. The Rise of Skywalker. I like The Rise of Skywalker, I should say. I do like it. I think I'm in the minority there, but I actually quite like The Rise of Skywalker. I do have some huge issues with it, but I quite like it overall. But the thing is, though, I think the reason The Rise of Skywalker fell short isn't because it didn't have an overall plan. I think it's because the film was rushed. Now, if people don't know, The Rise of Skywalker kind of went through like 2 different directors. Colin Trevorrow, who was the director of Jurassic World, who was actually going to go on to direct Jurassic World Dominion, which I'm very excited for, you know, the final Jurassic World from the final Jurassic Park film next year. Colin Trevorrow was originally attached to as a director of The Rise of Skywalker, and I don't think it was even called The Rise of Skywalker at that point. It was attached to start episode 9. But then he left over creative differences with Kathleen Kennedy, which has happened a lot with directors of Star Wars, by the way. You know, D&D, who wrote Game of Thrones, they left. They were originally meant to do these Star Wars films. You know, Lord and Miller left Solo, and then Ron Howard was brought on and everything. So that's happened quite a lot, Kathleen Kennedy, and that happened again with Episode 9. Colin Trevorrow was meant to direct the film, and basically after The Rise of Skywalker came out, Colin Trevorrow's script was actually leaked online, and it sounded more coherent and cohesive than maybe J.J. Abrams did. Now, I should say here, just because the script sounded good doesn't mean the film would be good. In the end, a script can be amazing, but also the film, the film has to work in its execution as well. It needs to have good direction, it needs to have a good execution and everything. So the script might be brilliant, but the execution might not be in there. But the thing is, though, the script sounded good. Colin Trevorrow's script sounded better than J.J. Abrams' script for The Rise of Skywalker. But, in the end, we're never going to get Colin Trevorrow's movie, or in the end, we got J.J. Abrams' movie. But the thing is, though, I think The Rise of Skywalker was rushed, because in the end, J.J. Abrams was attached to the project with less than 2 years to get to the release date. The Rise of Skywalker came out Christmas 2019, and J.J. Abrams was attached to the project, and I'm pretty sure in 2017 at some point. So we had less than 2 years to do that final film. And I think that's why it suffered, because it was rushed, not because it didn't have an overall plan. Now, I'm not saying some of the story arcs would have been better if they didn't have an overall plan, like maybe having Snoke there as a final big villain, maybe that would have worked a bit better. And like I said, Rey's lineage was one of the things I had a big problem with, and maybe that would be thought out better. But I think, in the end, I think if J.J. Abrams had more time to work on the script for The Rise of Skywalker, and more time to work on the film as a whole, to be honest, I think it would have turned out better. And I think, I know this wouldn't happen, but I think if the film came out a year after, maybe, Christmas 2020, and obviously it wouldn't come out Christmas 2020 because of the pandemic, but maybe, hypothetically, if the film came out a year later, I think it would have been better. I think J.J. would have to rush The Rise of Skywalker, and I think that's all down to Disney and Kathleen Kennedy. Now, to say, I'm a fan of Kathleen Kennedy. I love the films produced for Spielberg. I love films like E.T., I love films like Jaws, I love films like, the Indiana Jones films, and, she's produced so much for Spielberg, and she's a fantastic producer, and I think she did a great job with The Force Awakens, Rogue One. I think she even did quite an impressive job with Solo. I'm not the biggest fan of Solo, but she still managed to bring that out, considering it went through, 2 different directors, and it still managed to come out May 2018, which is quite impressive. But I'm actually quite a big fan of Kathleen Kennedy overall. But the thing is, though, I think she rushed The Rise of Skywalker's release. If The Rise of Skywalker was pushed a year, a year behind, a lot of nerds online would have gone. I mean, I'm a nerd online as well, but a lot of other nerds online would be like, oh my god, The Rise of Skywalker's in rubble, I don't know, it's gonna go wrong, and it's gonna be a train wreck, and it's in loads and loads of chaos and everything. Well, yeah, it might have been, but the thing is, though, I think if J.J. Abrams had 3 years to work on the final Star Wars film, I think it would have been a bit better. Because the thing is, though, if you look at some of the early Star Wars films, like the previous 6 original Star Wars films, then you start to compare, a lot of people criticize the Star Wars sequel films for very small details in some scenes. Some people break down these scenes in, The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi and go, well, that shot doesn't end up with that, his clothes are a bit different there, his hair's a bit different there, and I think, yes, but what you're going to consider is, J.J. Abrams had 2 years to make The Force Awakens, okay, maybe had 3, but still, he didn't have loads of time, considering people really anticipated the 7th Star Wars film after a huge break, after 10-year break from the last Star Wars film, and at the same time, though, Rian Johnson only had 2 years to make The Last Jedi, and when you look at some of the early Star Wars films, George Lucas, he made A New Hope in 1977, then Empire Strikes Back wasn't made till 1980, and then, Return of the Jedi wasn't made till 1983, and then if you look at the Star Wars prequel films, The Phantom Menace was made in 1999, Attack of the Clones 2002, Revenge of the Sith 2005, you get the point. They had 3 years between each of those films. The prequel trilogy isn't any good, really. I mean, I'm actually saying that I'm quite a big fan of Revenge of the Sith, but the thing is, though, the prequel trilogy has some huge issues. But the thing is, though, George Lucas had so much time to perfect what he needed to for The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. He had 3 years to make those films. And if you look at the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and I know how this is because it's the studio, because Disney want to bring out things as quick as possible. The thing is, though, J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson only had 2 years to bring out these films, these highly anticipated films, these films which people are literally going to break down in little pieces and go, well, that doesn't work, that doesn't work, that doesn't work. And so, that's one of the reasons I just think The Rise of Skywalker, fell shorter than it needed to be. I like The Rise of Skywalker, I should point out. I like it. I don't particularly, I don't think it's great, and I do appreciate it has a lot of big issues, but I like it, I must admit. I still enjoy it. I still enjoy it every time I see it. But the thing is, though, I think if J.J. Abrams had another year on that film, it might have turned out better. And I'm not saying, that it would have turned out perfect. I'm not saying it might not even have turned out any better. But in my opinion, it might not have turned out better. But in my opinion, I just think it might have, you get what I mean there. And I don't think an overall story would have made that work better, because in the end, if they had an overall story, then that overall story would have gone into the film when it was made, but they didn't have an overall story, so that's fine. They didn't have an overall plan. But the thing is, though, if they did have an overall plan, I don't know. I just don't think it would have worked. I don't think it would have changed things. And I think if The Rise of Skywalker was actually pushed a year later, and obviously it wouldn't have been because of the pandemic, so it would have been like 2 years later, which actually might be better for the film. So say it's coming out Christmas 2021, I think it would have benefited from just having more time, just for the filmmakers having more time to work on the film. But hey, that's just me. That's all hypothetical, because in the end, The Rise of Skywalker came out when it did, and I do think it was rushed. I must admit, I do think it was rushed, and I don't think that's J.J. Abrams' fault. I think he was, attached to the project, and Kathleen Kennedy said to him, "Bring out this film when I want." And in the end, he had to bring out about Christmas 2019, and so things were rushed, and ultimately, there's some clear moments of reshoot in The Rise of Skywalker, which is quite disappointing, to be honest. I do think it was a rushed film, and I think that's all down to Disney just wanting to bring out the film as soon as possible, which, in the end, I don't think an overall plan would have benefited The Rise of Skywalker in that fashion. And at the same time, though, my last reason on why I don't think the Star Wars sequel trilogy needed an overall plan is this. Guess what other trilogy in the Star Wars universe didn't have an overall plan? The original Star Wars trilogy. The original Star Wars trilogy did not have an overall plan. Just going to put that out there. The first Star Wars film was made, and they didn't think it was going to be a success. And famously, they didn't think it was going to be a success. I mean, George Lucas has actually said, he didn't think it was going to be a success. And there's all these rumors and everything that he didn't think it was going to be a success. That you heard the John Williams score and everything. But yeah, that's quite a funny rumor. But at the same time, though, he didn't think it was going to be a success. And then it became this huge phenomenon. And then they made Empire Strikes Back, and they made Return of the Jedi. The original Star Wars trilogy never had an overall plan. And then the only Star Wars trilogy that did have an overall plan was the prequel Star Wars trilogy. And a lot of people after seeing The Rise of Skywalker was like, well, if the prequels did one thing right, and they did do one thing right, it was having an overall plan for their 3 movies. And the thing is, though, was that a good thing, though? When you look at the Star Wars prequel trilogy, you don't go, well, you know what's so good about these films? They have an overall plan. Everything feels cohesive. Everything feels coherent in the best way possible. No, everything feels cohesive. Everything feels coherent, but in kind of the worst way possible. The story's predictable. Anakin Skywalker. I wonder who he'll turn out to be. And he gets with Padme. And, most of Attack of the Clones is just a love story between Anakin and Padme. It's boring. And the thing is, though, the story's boring, the direction's boring, it's tedious, and I don't like using the phrase boring, but it is. I sometimes watch Attack of the Clones, I don't watch it much, I don't watch it often. I made it sound there like I watch Attack of the Clones often. I don't. I rarely watch Attack of the Clones, only when I, really watching all the Star Wars films in as a whole is when I watch Attack of the Clones, but I rarely actually watch Attack of the Clones in my least favourite Star Wars film. But the thing is, though, when I watch that film, I'm not sitting there going, oh my god, what's fantastic? This film has a plan, and you can really feel that. When I watched the Star Wars prequel trilogy, yes, it has a plan. Obviously, it had a plan for its overall story, but was that necessarily a good thing? Did we really need all the Senate hearings? Did we really need all these Jedi going on about, yes, this and that, and it can pad me having their little romance, but they're going to get together, but they're not saying they're going to get together, but you know they're going to get together, and just things like that. Like, I should say, I'm a fan of Revenge of the Sith, but I think, Revenge of the Sith is actually, I don't know, a bit more to the point than, the Phantom Menace and the Attack of the Clones. I enjoy watching Revenge of the Sith a lot, because, I don't know why I enjoy watching Revenge of the Sith a lot over the other 2 films, but I think it's a lot better in my opinion. But the thing is, though, I don't think a plan benefited the prequel trilogy. Sure, the prequel trilogy had a plan, but didn't make it much better. It just made things more coherent. doesn't necessarily mean it made things a bit better though. You know, the story's coherent. The story's still predictable though. It's still boring. It's still bland. The characters are so bland, apart from the Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I love. Most of the characters are still bland. Where so it didn't need a plan. What I'm saying is the Star Wars sequel trilogy didn't need a plan because the prequel trilogy did. I think, and I'm not joking here, I wonder if this was one of their conversations when they were making The Force Awakens, where the Kathleen Kennedy sat down and said, do you think we need a plan for this whole trilogy that we're going to make? And the thing is, I actually think that they looked at the prequel trilogy, looked how bad that the first few films in the prequel trilogy turned out to be, and went, you know what, maybe we don't need a plan actually. Maybe we don't want to copy, George Lucas' mistake. Which is fair enough. And actually, they looked at the original trilogy, one of the most beloved trilogies of all time, the original Star Wars trilogy, and went, they didn't have a plan for those films. You know what? Let's see what happens if we just do it individual directions, individual directors coming in with their vision. And I think that actually kind of turned out a bit better, in my opinion. I would rather something like the Star Wars sequel trilogy over the prequel trilogy, where in the sequel trilogy, the directions are like kind of unexpected, and it's really energetic in some moments and everything, and it feels grand in some moments as well. Over than the prequel trilogy, when everything's just like, Jedi, Senate, Anakin and Padme, That's what it feels like in the prequel trilogy, and not in a good way. The direction of the prequel trilogy is rubbish, and the story isn't particularly fantastic either. It's really predictable, and I don't think having an overall story, having an overall plan for the Star Wars prequel trilogy made the films any better. Sure, they're a bit more coherent, but is that necessarily that good because the story is actually really predictable? But anyway, that's just me. I don't think the Star Wars sequel trilogy needed a plan because, well, the original trilogy didn't. Can we point that out a sec? The original trilogy didn't have a plan, and yet people love Empire Strikes Back, and people love Return of the Jedi. Me included. And the thing is, though, Revenge of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith, it isn't a bad film. I quite enjoy watching Revenge of the Sith. I mean, it's got some big issues, but I quite enjoy watching it. But the thing is, though, the prequel trilogy didn't benefit with a plan. It just made things feel a bit more connected. Okay. Was that a good thing with the prequel trilogy, though? I will not watch the prequel trilogy thinking, you know what? Everything feels so much more connected that I'm loving it. Actually, I would like some of the Star Wars sequel trilogy where the things are a bit more unexpected and not necessarily connected in the way you thought they were going to be. Now, I will admit, in The Rise of Skywalker, that didn't always turn out the best. But the thing is, though, in The Last Jedi, I think Rian Johnson used the ideas J.J. Abrams came up with in The Force Awakens to his I can't think of the word right now, to the best way possible. In the best way possible. I think he used J.J. Abrams' idea in the best way possible, in his own way, killing off Snoke, changing things like he wanted to change, and in the end, making a far more unexpected, in my opinion, far more enjoyable film than I really expected. I mean, I remember watching The Last Jedi for the first time and not particularly liking it. And then I remember going back and revisiting it the second time and thinking it was good. I liked it a bit more than I did the first time. And then I went back and watched it the third time. I liked it a lot more. Then actually I went back to watch this film recently, The Last Jedi. And actually I liked it quite a lot. And I actually think Last Jedi is a brilliant film. And I'm going to make a video on why I actually think it's such a brilliant film. And why The Rise of Skywalker does actually slightly disappoint me. Even so I do quite like The Rise of Skywalker, and I will make a video on that as well. My opinion on The Rise of Skywalker, how long it's gone, like a year and a half since it came out. I'm going to make a video on those two films in the near distant future. But for now, I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking, if they did have an overall plan for the Star Wars sequel trilogy, what really would have been different? Rey's lineage. Okay, we'll agree with that. Emperor Palpatine being in the 9th film, I still think he would have been. Maybe he wouldn't have had the bigger role. Maybe he wouldn't have been the overall villain. But to be honest, I prefer him being the overall villain over Snoke. Now, it wasn't executed the best way, I must admit. But I prefer him being the villain over Snoke because in the end, doesn't that tie up all 9 Star Wars films? I think it does in a better way than having Snoke as the overall villain. And at the same time, though, would other things be better? Yes, maybe Finn's character arc would have been better. Maybe Poe's character arc would have been better. But in the end, I would rather those unexpected twists than having dull, boring character arcs like we had in the prequels. The prequels weren't fantastic, and I don't think an overall plan made the prequels any better. You know, I think maybe an overall plan for the Star Wars sequel trilogy may have benefited the trilogy a bit. Not loads, though. Because then I don't think it would have got the really unexpected and really exciting, in my opinion, Last Jedi. And then I don't think we would have got the really... Okay, I was about to say really exciting Rise of Skywalker. It's exciting. Yeah, I'm going to say that. I don't think we would have got a really exciting Rise of Skywalker. Like I said, I like Rise of Skywalker. You know, if you don't, fair enough. I understand why. Everyone's, you know, every film's subjective. But I must admit, I do like Rise of Skywalker. But the thing is, though, I don't think an overall plan for the Star Wars sequel trilogy would have benefited it massively, I must admit. I think it would have benefited a bit, not massively. I like the idea of them killing off Snoke in the second film. I like that a lot. And at the same time, though, I like that raise from nowhere in the second film. I like the whole twist with everything. I like that, you know, Luke dies. Okay, spoiler. I go into spoilers in case you haven't listened to The Last Jedi, but, you know, you've had time to see The Last Jedi. But the thing is, though, you know, I like all these big twists in The Last Jedi. You know, Luke isn't the same character. I love all that. I would rather that than something like the prequel trilogy, which, you know, as much as I do actually kind of like Revenge of the Sith, Phantom Menace, and Attack of the Clones are dull, boring, and coherent, yes, but not in a great way. And so that's just my opinion, and why I don't think the Star Wars sequel trilogy necessarily needed a plan. Now, like I said, I should say, maybe if they did have a plan, it might benefit. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't think it needed it. There's two different things there. I think it would have benefited it, yes, maybe a bit, but I don't think it necessarily needed it. But hey, that's just my opinion. Anyway, yeah. So, that's kind of my live stream for today. I'm going to do another one later this week. I might do another one actually tomorrow. I'm going to do another one tomorrow actually. I'm going to be talking about whether there are too many superhero films around at the moment. But for now, that was my live stream today. Whether the Star Wars sequel trilogy needed an overall plan, and in my opinion, it didn't. But I'm not saying it wouldn't have benefited from it. If you get what I mean, I don't think it did. I don't think it did need a plan. But at the same time, though, if it did have a plan, I think it might have benefited from it. But hey, that's just my opinion. Everyone's got their own opinion, I think, and if your opinion is different, please do let me know in the comment section below. And also, if you want me to talk about something in particular in a later live stream, maybe next week, or maybe, actually not next week, I'm away next week, but, you know, maybe in a upcoming live stream in the near distant future, please do let me know in the comment section below. And, you know, let me know if you want me to talk about something in particular, please do let me know in the comment section below. Or if you enjoyed this live stream, then thank you for watching. And if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like, subscribe on this video or this live stream work. And if you haven't yet, please do go and check out my other videos that I've been uploaded recently and everything. And I got some other videos coming very soon, some other live streams, like I said. Got one coming tomorrow when I talk about whether there are too many superhero movies right now, and I've got an interesting take on the subject as well. And at the same time, though, I've got some other reviews coming very soon on this channel. So if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like, subscribe on the video, and look forward to many more both film and TV views and live streams coming very soon on this channel. Thank you as always for watching, and see you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye. It takes me about a minute to actually end the stream. Bye.